Afternoon. I'm here with Ross Mallock, Colonel Ross Mallock of the Army Air Corps, formerly commander of the Army Air Corps acrobatic team, the Blue Eagles. Now, something else Ross does, apart from being a commander, a colonel in the Army, is a writer of rather entertaining verse. There's a book that's just been published, Botanic Verses. Is unlike Salman Rushdie's book, I don't think Ross is going to have a fatwa imposed upon him, or at least not by the Iranians or what have you. Now, Ross, how long have you been writing these pieces?
For more or less as long as I can remember, really, since I was at school.
Right.
Just for fun.
Right.
Largely. This is the first time I've managed to unleash it on the unsuspecting public. But yes, I have been doing it since about the age of 8, I suppose.
Right. And something pure, as you say, purely for fun.
Just for entertainment, really.
Right.
I'm not very good at serious verse. I've done 1 or 2 serious poems, but they depress me rather.
Right.
I find the light-hearted sort of poetry much more fun to write,
Right.
And I think people find it more fun to read, actually.
Absolutely. Well, nothing. I mean, a good hearty laugh is far better than shedding a tear any day of the week.
Mind you, I have to admit there are 1 or 2 rather sad tales in this book,
Right.
although they are told tongue-in-cheek, so they can raise the odd lachrymose feeling.
Now, any of them sort of based on you know, people you know, characters
Absolutely
you know?
not.
Right.
I would never admit to it anyway if it was. They're mostly about animals, birds, and inanimate, even inanimate objects, if you can call a runner bean an inanimate object.
Right.
They're fables, really, though I'm not sure that it falls into a particular category. They're illustrated marvellously by this friend of mine, Harry Hargreaves, who is
Right.
a world-renowned illustrator and cartoonist. And he can turn a runner bean, which enters the London Marathon, into a real athlete.
Right.
He can make an ostrich fly, as he does in this book. A frog which is squashed crossing the road. All these things can be brought to life by this chap, and they are all allegorical fables, if you like.
Right.
All of which have very deep and meaningful morals.
Right. Now, are these suitable for a younger person, or are they?
There's nothing even vaguely rude in this book, I can promise you.
Right.
It's reasonable, I think, for anyone from the age of 8 up to about 88, probably,
Right.
can get a bit of fun from this without any undue shock in the process.
Right. Have you had good reception so far? How long have you actually?
Yes,
been
it was
in
published
shops?
on the 9th of November, and by the middle of December, the first edition was virtually sold out.
Oh,
which is
really?
marvellous.
And that's been on sale where throughout the
Well,
country?
no, it's been on sale really only in Andover and Salisbury.
Right.
And now I must meet with the illustrator and the publisher and work out where we go from here with another edition.
So strategy.
Yes, I think so. But it has turned out to be very popular. I'm very pleased.
Good.
And I think it ought to have a wider readership.
Absolutely. So do you see a sort of future of, once you've left the army, of maybe full-time writing?
I would doubt if it would be full-time, but I will certainly go on writing in my spare time, certainly. Yeah.
Would maybe you'd like to choose one of your verses and
Yes.
a rendition?
By all means. I mean, one of my favourites is the title piece, really. I mean, I refer to it as Botanic Verses. I have to admit there are only 2 Botanic verses in this.
Right.
There are others which are zoological. The Botanic one really concerns this unfortunate runner bean called Rodney, who makes a very basic error in his ambition. Again, I'm sorry to say this is a sad tale. Can you stand it?
Well, I can. I don't know. I hope the viewers can as well. We'll see what reaction we get.
Please don't be upset. But if the cap fits, perhaps the answer is to wear it. Rodney was a runner bean, both succulent and sleek, who hung around the garden all day long. Though tender, he possessed an unremarkable physique, but dreamt of growing vigorous and strong. His family would mock him for his wistful little ways, for a bean should be contented with his lot. Just dangle here with us, they said, and ripen as you lays. All runner beans must one day go to pot. But Rodney spied a hoarding just beyond the garden shed, which set his pulse a-racing with the shock. The biggest London marathon in history, he read, is due to start today at 10 o'clock. I'll show them, muttered Rodney, as he gently dropped to earth. As a runner, I'll be swifter than a dart. and sprinting off to London town for all that he was worth, he lined up with the athletes at the start. The gun went off, and so did Rodney, straight into the lead, and the onlookers' applause was unconfined, for never had a marathon been run at such a speed, or the competition trailed so far behind. "Come on, Rodney!" people shouted as the little flash of green whistled past them like an arrow from a bow. But at Tower Bridge he faltered like a broken-down machine, and with only 20 miles still to go. As a has-been, he was hamstrung, he was finished, he was done. He was curled up in exhaustion and despair. As he stumbled, all the others overtook him one by one, and a careless runner squashed him then and there. Hardly anybody noticed, from the traces left behind, that a champion had fallen at the scene. For who would credit courage or great singleness of mind to an ordinary, humble runner being? There's a moral in this tragedy for human beings too. A little bit of talent's fine and dandy. There's no limit to ambition. There is nothing you can't do. But a lot of careful training comes in handy. Very sad.
Very good, very sad indeed.